What do we do when it's completely overwhelming? And part of what's challenging here is that we realize that what we're witnessing, other people are enduring, experiencing, managing. And so it is a privilege to choose how to manage it, right? But we've all been there before where it is so overwhelming that we need to find ways to manage information so that we stay informed, but we don't get overwhelmed. So here are 6 ways that I can help you do that. My name's Amy, and that's tonight's topic for Live Around 5. The first thing that I think is really important in 2023 is to say that there is no right way to be perceiving your suffering, right? If you're saying, this is really hard for me, but you're not Jewish and you're not involved and you don't know anyone there, that's still okay, right? If you say to yourself, I don't really understand exactly what's happening, that's okay. I want you to give yourself grace. I invite you to educate yourself about it and stand with our Jewish friends and family all over the world. But I want you to know that the way you are feeling isn't something you should judge yourself about. The second thing is to express your feelings in a healthy way. And this can include journaling, writing them down, having the opportunity to speak to a close friend about it, maybe a therapist, but not to just keep the feelings all to yourself. It's important that we're not gossiping about it, right? That we're not just winding each other up, but that we do express the feelings that we're having, because this is especially outrageous and we all have particular reactions, right? Next is going to be to look for the helpers or become a helper. In the case of this war, we're able to donate to help victims of the reckless violence that this terrorist group has just gone crazy with, right? And so we're able to donate, we're able to check in on our friends, we're able to become more educated, we're able to be a voice for those who don't have a voice, maybe a connection for those who need a connection. But look for the helpers and realize that there are so many people out there helping. I'm going to add one to my list right now, and that is make sure you snuggle with your pet, because Mr. Charlie senses what I'm talking about and he wanted to be up here with me, right? Next is be a good steward of information. As information is released to the public through what's happening, it's really scary to see people posting disinformation at a time like this. I know in our modern world that this has become a political tactic. It's become a comforting tactic. It's become just part of the fabric of who we are. But I remember a time where if it wasn't true, we didn't say it, right? And so I want you to think about, if I'm going to be sharing this information, how do I do it in a way that is the most constructive? How can I be a good steward of it? How can I confirm the sources that I'm looking at, our primary sources, are accurate, right? I'm part of a group called the Governors, which you can see here. And that's part of what we work on, is making sure that the information that we're getting is actually accurate before we present it to someone else. Then I want you to be thoughtful of children. I remember back in 9/11 and in the Gulf War that it was really important to make sure that kids were not exposed to all of the information that was out there. And today it's even more impossible to stop that, it seems. And so I would say to be thoughtful of them, to have factual conversations with them, talk to experts about what the best way to be informing them is today, because it's overwhelming for us as adults. Imagine how it is for them as small children. And of course, there are things that they're just not ready to hear or know. It needs to be more generic for some ages, right? We don't need to explain every single thing that's happening. It's important, though, to explain the general broad strokes, but perhaps more importantly, in terms of how you can be responsible, don't talk about it when there are small children around in a manner that is really horrifying or disrespectful, right? Be respectful of their parents and be respectful that they may have very clear boundaries. They may be personally impacted by this. So be thoughtful before you're posting or talking. And then last but not least is just self-care, right? Snuggle with your pet. Find a way to take a hot bath, take breaks, stop doom scrolling, right? Where it's so hard not to want to see what we could do or to get updates. But there's a certain extent at which you're just a glutton for punishment, right? And so those are my 7 suggestions. I added one with the puppy. But I want you to know that you're not alone, that this is an outrageous time to be alive, that the hits continue to keep coming. And that's why resilience is even more important than ever. That's why faith and friendship and loyalty and accuracy and our news outlets being clear as a bell about what's happening is even more critical. So, if you are looking for a place to get that information that will feel more educational and less judgmental, that's not going to come down on one side or the other, I invite you to follow Sharon Says So. That's not her name. It's like, well, Sharon says so, right? So the name Sharon, Sharon, says Says so. And I can tell you that she will give you accurate information on both sides, compassion. And by both sides, I mean the historical side and the current side. There are no two sides to this. Everyone who is perpetuating violence and killing people is who we stand against, right? We want to stand for peace. We want to stand for supporting families. We want to stand for humanity. So follow Sharon Says So. Remember these tips and hang in there. It's a tough time, but it's not as tough for us as it is for so very many. So I'm sending my prayers and thoughts to everyone there, and I hope you have an amazing night. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow, live round 5. Bye, Charlie.